Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. Welcome back to another weather forecast discussion, this time for March 11th, 2025. We're going to be changing up our upload schedule just a little bit. Go at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, just to see if we can get our uploads out to more people. That way, we don't upload it when people are sleeping. You know what I mean? Let's take a look at day one, the day one convective outlook here. Some thunderstorms are possible in the southwestern portions of the United States. Moving on to day two here, this is Wednesday. We have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale for the Arklatex areas. We're talking about Texarkana and areas that are around that. So definitely something to watch out for. A little small tornado risk accompanied with this as well. Definitely a 2% that extends all the way down into portions near or just to the east of Austin, Texas. So definitely something to watch out with that. Probability severe wind is just the same as the hail. We're getting just some chances of just a general severe risk that could potentially move on through the typical severe risk for the southern plains, if you will, in some of these areas. Risk for severe weather continues all the way into Thursday. The potential for just maybe a precursor for Dixie Alley is possible, as a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale is existent over there. And then we also have our big risk for severe weather that's going to be accompanied by a multi-day severe weather outbreak with the potential of some damaging tornadoes, according to the Storm Prediction Center, is possible. It starts on Friday with a 15% chance indicated in the yellow and a 30% chance in the orange. This extends from central Illinois all the way down near the Arkansas and Louisiana border, following the Mississippi River all the way down. This will continue to move on through into Saturday, where I believe this will probably be our more significant day of severe weather, which could potentially include some long track storms, some long track supercells, and some pretty powerful ones at that. That'll continue, especially over here into portions of Dixie Alley, heading over into portions of Georgia. And then we have the potential for some severe weather that extends from areas near New Jersey and Pennsylvania all the way down into the Big Bend of Florida. So pretty much a widespread area of severe weather is possible here in the mid stages of this March. So let's go ahead and move through the timings. Once again, it is at the top left-hand portion of your screen in Eastern. Let's move on through here as we get into the beginner stages from Wednesday night here, as we get some storms that could potentially try to form over here in the southeastern portions of Oklahoma, northeastern portions of Texas. This is where the beginner stages of your first severe risk, the kind of not so big one that we talked about with our convective outlook. A lot of precipitation is expected over here in the western portions of the United States from our next big storm. A lot of snow in the higher elevations, a lot of rain in the lower elevations. Be careful. If there is some flash flooding, rock slides, mudslides, turn around, don't drown, don't drive into flooded roadways. This will basically lead up into our severe weather event here from Friday into Saturday. Right here, we got a big time low pressure system that is going to try and deepen and intensify as it moves off towards the north and east. This is going to create the risk for severe weather across much of areas that are along the Mississippi River. I'm really expecting areas down here in the southern portions of the risk to really be the main threat. But you can see this will continue to move on through from the late afternoon into the early evening and all the way well into the overnight hours. Some wintry precipitation is also possible in some of these areas into portions of Canada, heading into the Dakotas as well as western Minnesota, and even into portions of Nebraska as well. So not really too surprising with that. In addition, there is also another atmospheric river or another low pressure system that moves off into the Pacific Northwest. So an abundance of precipitation is anticipated over there. But this is definitely something that we're watching on from Friday into Saturday. Notice how once you start to move on through into Saturday, your storm moves off towards the north and east, and you get a new storm that begins to develop down here into portions of Dixie Alley, into the deep south. And this will basically stir up a lot of severe weather as we head on into Sunday as well, to where we could potentially see some widespread severe weather that is also possible. Once again, our atmospheric river continues to go on strong, and that'll continue to show off all the way through until we get into our next weather event, which will be sometime around the 19th and 20th, as we could potentially be talking about more winter weather. Take a look at our temperatures here very briefly. I'm sure everyone has been enjoying the warm up. Unfortunately, for the northern half of the United States here, talking into Tuesday, we get a little bit of a cool down. So, a lot of you guys that may be over in the Great Lakes, as well as into the northern plains and the upper Midwest, definitely seem to get that cool down here as we head over into Wednesday. Heading over into Thursday, however, things continue to get very warm across much of the United States. Talking a lot of these highs over here at upwards of 60 to 70 in any area that is yellow or orange. Fortunately, the western portions of the United States get a little bit cooler here, as we could be talking about some areas that get very, very cold. But this is basically when our system starts to move on through, and you can see as we get from Friday into Saturday, this is very warm temperatures that are out in front of the storm. In behind this is going to be a lot of cooler air, a lot of cold air. So expect out in front of the storm to be a warm up. Once you get behind it, things will start to kind of cool off as well. We'll move on through into our specifics as we continue to move off from the general coverage to now our severe weather coverage of this video. We talk about the strong winds that are usually accompanied by most severe weather risks, and this is no different whatsoever. This is our 500 millibar wind shear, 6 kilometers above ground level is where we typically look at for our upper level wind shear. And we have a little bit of a trough that's going to be moving on through, just a little shortwave trough that moves off into portions of Texas and Oklahoma. This is going to be basically the beginning of our event here for Wednesday and into Thursday as this thing moves on through. We do have some wind shear that is favorable for some forms of severe weather, so definitely something to note. But the other thing to note is how weak that trough is compared to the one that is behind it. This is a very strong trough that is going to be moving on through, and some very strong wind that is going to be accompanied with it, with this storm, as this continues to strengthen and move off here from Friday into Saturday. Very strong upper level winds here, indicating some favorable severe storm sustainment as this moves off into portions of our main risk. Now, the interesting thing here is as this low pressure system moves off to the north and east, you're going to see another low pressure system or another trough that's going to develop just to the south of it. Look at this. New system begins to form from Friday night into Saturday and into Sunday here. And we're talking about some widespread significant amounts of wind shear here in the upper levels, basically saying that anywhere from the Great Lakes all the way down south is going to have a pretty good shot at some sustainment of our supercells. Basically, anything that is in the yellow and above is really going to have a good chance of that. I want to talk about our 300 millibar wind shear. This is really high up in the sky. If we were talking about our upper level wind shear, this is our upper level wind shear, if you know what I mean. And as we get on through, we can see our little jet streak that begins to form here. Not a very strong jet streak, but there is a jet streak here. And out in front on the leading edge of our jet streak is usually where we typically look for our most favorable severe weather to occur, given the right conditions, given the right thermodynamics that are also accompanied with it. And you can see definitely here on Wednesday at the leading edge of that jet streak where the stronger winds are at, you can definitely see how that correlates with the potential of our severe weather. But let's move on through from Thursday into Friday, heading into Saturday. You can definitely see right in front over here, this is where you would typically expect your severe weather to exist, and there probably will be some severe weather to exist as well. But you can also see over here on the leading edge of this is where we kind of have more of an elongated jet streak to where there could potentially be some severe weather here as well. And this will continue all the way until our low pressure system, at least our first one, kind of dies out. And then on Saturday, look at this here, guys. We start to get a pretty elongated area, and just right out in front, look at this, right out in front is where we're going to want to typically look for the potential of some severe weather. It's always going to be out in front of our 300 millibar jet streak. That is exactly what we have here. So definitely some favorable severe weather. And then as we head over into Sunday, the same exact thing basically occurs. Just anywhere out in front of our main jet streak is where we're going to want to typically look for the chance of some severe weather. And then I want to look at our lower level wind shear here, our 850 millibar low level jet, if you will. We'll see that as this moves off from Wednesday into Thursday, there's a lot of pretty decent winds that are over into our first risk. But notice here, basically our precursor, our severe weather is going to be basically based off of the low level jet that is over into portions of California. Watch how this basically goes over from one event to the other, heading over from Friday morning into Friday afternoon and evening. Very strong low level jet. I mean, this is definitely favorable for some sustained severe weather. And notice here, we got some pretty strong low level jet winds that are over into portions of Arkansas, into Louisiana, eastern Texas, and then it extends all the way up into portions of the upper Midwest. We also have some pretty strong winds in the backside of this. So even behind the system, there's going to be a lot of strong winds. And this will basically be favorable as well for some fires, some wildfires that could potentially spread even in behind that. But regardless, very strong low-level jet winds that continues to intensify even overnight. And then here's Saturday. As our new low-pressure system develops, very strong low-level jet concentrated down here into portions of Dixie Alley. This is definitely going to be paired with some very strong moisture and some very, very favorable energy levels, convective available potential energy levels that we'll show a little bit later on. But this is definitely going to be more of the main risk as we head on through. And then heading over into Sunday, just basically some leftovers, if you will, with our strong wind shear that'll continue to extend further to the east. Moving over here into our specifics for our risk on Wednesday, we'll take a look here as the dew points continue to basically race off further towards the north. And basically, we have just enough moisture content that is available for some of these storms to try and form or sustain. But there is definitely a lot of dry air that is also present in this environment. So a lot of these storms are basically going to be kind of either hit or miss. Some storms can form, some storms may not. That's kind of the reason why we have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale over there. We do have some CAPE, some convective available potential energy that is available in this environment. So some storms, if they do form, can take advantage of this environment. A lot of buoyancy that is favorable for some of these storms is definitely present over here. Some amounts are pretty basically in line with about 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. That'll continue all the way through even to the overnight hours until you start to really see those storms kind of die out a little bit more. And so some of the timings that could be associated with this could be maybe storms start to look to try and form sometime around 4 to 5 p.m. Central. As that continues to move off into the overnight hours. A lot of wind, a lot of hail, maybe the chance for a spin-up tornado is possible, but nothing really too significant, at least if I were to look at this based off of the models right now. Looking on through, however, let's take a look at the nitty-gritty for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Moisture becomes not really as much of an issue here for the southern risk as we head on through. The northern risk, maybe so. Some dew points that are about in the 50s, maybe even into the low 60s. It's definitely not as sporadic as, say, down here. I mean, look at the moisture content. We're talking about 60s to even 70-degree dew points. That is very, very favorable for some thunderstorms that could try to form out here. And so definitely something to note as we head off even into Saturday. I mean, look at this. Very, very rich dew points that continue to exist. It just basically doesn't go away, even if you head off into Sunday, to where a lot of areas, even as far north over into portions of Pennsylvania, could see some very moist dew points and some increased potential for some severe weather. Convective available potential energy, our buoyancy is definitely in abundance over here in the southern mode. The northern mode, there is some energy, so storms could try to form, produce some damaging winds, some spotty hail, maybe not as much of a hail risk. Definitely a tornado risk is possible over there as well, but there's just an abundance of energy over here in the southern risk, which makes me kind of focus on that just a little bit more as that continues to move on through. And this especially is evident over here as we head over into Saturday. It doesn't really look as if there is a whole lot of energy that continues to move on through from Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, but I think this might be more of a low resolution model type issue. This will definitely be resolved more into the Wednesday night models. So our video on Thursday morning will basically kind of give us the general idea as to what could potentially be happening with these storms. And then, of course, energy continues to be evident as you head off into Sunday as well. So definitely something interesting as this moves on through. We won't be talking about too much of the timings with these storms quite yet until we get a lot closer. Just right now, the general idea is sometime on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the afternoon, evening, and potentially even the overnight hours, we could be talking about some significant severe weather with the potential of some strong tornadoes, some large hail, and definitely some strong damaging winds. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social media. Links will all be in the description down below. I will see you guys next time for our upload, which will be tomorrow morning. So everyone stay safe until then, and peace out, everyone.